Sean P. Diddy Combs' lawyers calls Little Rod's lawsuit garbage and completely fictional, made up of fake characters and salacious celebrity name drops. Oh yeah. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Blackjack. Life is like the cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. It's your boy Delray Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game. Please do me a favor and click on what appears to be that little bell notification right below this video. I'm gonna get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean P. Diddy Combs from his prison cell is on the attack through his lawyers and filing a trying to get the case dismissed that Little Rod filed, if you will. Most people for most people that don't know, the Little Rod lawsuit was the lawsuit that I think kind of spawned the authorities to go after Diddy, along with the Cassie lawsuit. But the Little Rod lawsuit was important based on the fact that it was the first time in detail that it was alleged that Diddy had these tapes, and they weren't called freak off tapes, but he had tapes of music executives, NBA basketball players, politicians, and high profile people, if you will, and that they were recorded on tape having sexual relations at what was alleged to be these freak off parties, right? Diddy's lawyers just basically came out firing in their brief. They're basically saying, hey, Jones' Second Amendment complaint is the third attempt to dress up a run-of-the-mill commercial disagreement as a salacious RICO conspiracy. Running to nearly 100 pages, it includes countless tall tales, shameless celebrity name drops, and irrelevant images. Yet, despite all its hyperbole and lurid theatrics, the SAC fails to state a single visible claim against any of Combs' defendants. This was the one that Lucian Grange, the girl Christina Karam, she was named in also, right? Replete with legally meaningless allegations and blatant falsehoods. The SAC's true purpose is to generate media hype and exploit it to extract a settlement. No surprise given that Jones' attorney was recently referred to the court's grievance committee for engaging in a pattern of improperly filing cases in federal court to garner media attention, embarrass defendants with salacious allegations, and pressure defendants to settle quickly. Now, I will say this. After closely examining and looking at what Little Rod had, the allegations that he made in his complaint, let's be clear, this started over the $50,000 that he said he wasn't paid, and he said they were trying to jerk him out of his publishing. I understand that aspect of it. When Diddy refused to pay, then came this lawsuit naming all of these other things, and it was basically mirroring the lawsuit that was filed by Cassie. Let's be perfectly honest. As I've done a few videos before, the timeline that Little Rod alleges a lot of these things, and like I said, once again, Little Rod is different from Cassie. Cassie had a relationship with Sean P. Diddy Combs for 10 years. And so when we talk about Little Rod being there, producing and working on Sean P. Diddy Combs' Love album, which really didn't do well anyway, him wanting his money, I do understand that. Him wanting his publishing splits, I do understand that. But what I don't understand is that Little Rod said in around February, I think of 2023 it was. Yeah, February 2023. He was alleging that P. Diddy drugged him, and that he woke up in the bed with P. Diddy and two other females, if you will, right? and he took pictures of the females laying in bed. And so any reasonable person would think that if they were drugged or thought that they were drugged and they woke up the next morning, the first thing I'm doing is, I got to get out of there, making like I got to go to the store. I got to go to visit my auntie or somebody, my cousin, they coming out to visit me or something like that, or just plain out, flat out, man, I'm going back home. You know what I mean? And the fact that Little Rod had alleged that he was drugged a second time, and I believe this was the night that they had the big bed in the backyard. I think Chris Brown was there. It was a lot of other celebrities there at this particular party. He said that he was also drugged on that night from that perspective. I have a problem with that. Like I said, because after the first time I'm out, I'm gone, but Little Rod evidently stayed around and to allege that he was drugged a second time. Little Rod took pictures of these women in the bed. So that tells me in his own filing, he said this. It's not something that I'm saying. He took pictures of the women in the bed. And that tells me that didn't seem like a person who felt like he had been wronged or he had been drugged. That seemed like a person who was capturing a memorable moment from an experience that he experienced. I'm giving you just what was in the actual filing of the brief. You can check out my videos from a little earlier, and when I was actually reading from the brief, from the case that Mr. Blackburn had filed on Little Rod's behalf. Like I said, once again, Little Rod had also in his brief alleged that Cuba Gooding Jr., Sean P. Diddy Combs was trying to pass him off to Cuba Gooding Jr. or something like that. Cuba Gooding Jr. then went out just recently on a few podcasts and spoke about like it was crazy and, basically saying, welcome to my world as a celebrity. People can say anything about you now that you have a name. I met Cuba Gooding Jr. before. I didn't get nothing like that from him. Like I said, everybody's situation is different from that perspective. And I just didn't really receive anything from him like that. More importantly, when you take a look at the big picture involving this situation, involving Diddy's situation, basically it was $50,000. Everything, if Diddy would have paid the $50,000, I don't think we would have heard any of these allegations. Like I say, I don't know if there's any falsehood or truth to the allegations. I just know the inconsistencies in which Little Rod spoke on and the pictures that he alleged to be some underage girls that turned out not to be that. It was alleging a whole bunch of things. He named Lucian Grange, the guy who's the head of Universal Music, Christina Karam, Diddy Universal Music, and all of these other entities that I felt like wouldn't have had anything to do with the actions of Sean P. Diddy Combs and Little Rod being hired by him as a producer to come and produce on his Love album, if you will. And so we see what's happening now. Diddy firing back from Metropolitan Detention Center in New York through his attorneys, basically saying, hey, you know what? This is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, a bunch of celebrity name drops. None of it's true. So they're basically trying to get the case thrown out, if you will. And I think they stand a good chance on doing that. We'll watch and see basically what happens. But more importantly, when we think about these situations, once again, involving allegations like this, it's very serious. And, a lot of times celebrities don't really file, defamation cases involving situations like this when they, have said to have done something, because like I said, they don't really need no more attention than they have already from that perspective. But I think the situation between Jay-Z and Jaguar Wright, I think Jaguar Wright kind of learned from that a little bit, which she should have. Like I said, saying that Jay-Z and Beyonce had hundreds of victims and things like this. Once again, it just goes to show that people are saying anything and their credibility is not really held to task when coming up with things. You can say anything. If you don't really know the true story about it, you're just gossiping. It's just gossip. If you can't put up any real proof as to what you're saying, then it's just gossip. And so with that being said, when you understand that it's just gossip, one needs not to even look further into that based on the fact that, hey, you know what? This is simply not true. But once you file a brief in court, then now one has to hire a lawyer, defend themselves against frivolous accusations of things that they can't prove. Can Little Rod prove any of the things that he said in his lawsuit? Basically, what Diddy's lawyers are saying is, no, they're a bunch of legal maneuvers and baseless allegations, celebrity name drops and all of these other things in order to garner attention, media attention, in and around the situation at that time that just involved Cassie, if you will. So, yeah, this is what's going on, man. And it's going to be interesting to see how the judge rules in this situation, because I think, it's kind of, people are kind of really waking up, like all of these people coming out the woodworks that have lawsuits. And I was at a Diddy party, Tony Busby basically saying he had 120 victims, just filed a lawsuit based on 6 victims. Once again, you can see the same pattern. Little Rod saying some of the things that he alleged in his lawsuit, coming up with these few pictures that he had came up with, basically, a picture of Cuba Gooding Jr. talking to him, and then making a story up behind that picture, if you will, right? Also, in that same, involving that same thing, then you have the young lady in New York basically getting dropped by her attorneys because her attorneys basically say, hey, you know what? She's undermining my work. And like I said, once again, that tells me that the lawyer does not believe that her allegations or the accusations that she's making against Sean P. Diddy Combs are even valid at this particular point. The only person that I have seen and heard from who would know anything about anything is Cassie, and that's why her lawsuit was settled. Notice, Diddy didn't work to settle none of these lawsuits. You know what I mean? If somebody had concrete evidence as far as to what happened and the allegations that they were making and the evidence to back it up or some kind of proof to back it up, I believe he would have settled by now. That's what usually people do. Like, hey, you know what? Stop this right here because, we don't really have a good leg to stand on. What he's saying is basically true. And they'll go ahead and settle the lawsuit most of the times. Like I said, some people just don't have time for the legal maneuvering. They wish to get the situation over and they go ahead and make a settlement. But in this situation, Diddy is fighting back. He's been saying basically, hey, you know what? I didn't do nothing to this guy. I don't know if he did or not, but this is what Diddy, through his attorneys, is saying. I never did nothing to this guy. And so with that being said, Little Rod taking the pictures of the 2 girls after the situation when him and Diddy was involved, he alleged that him and Diddy was involved in, tells me that he was taking a picture of a memorable moment, from that perspective. And so, it gets muddier and muddier and muddier. But more importantly, the reason that I think that this had garnered so much attention was because Little Rod made the accusation about high-level music executives, NBA players, politicians, all being on these so-called freak-off tapes. And so what I think Diddy wishes to prove is, and I think Diddy knows, is that they don't have freak-off tapes. They probably have tapes of him having consensual sex with various women or whoever he's having sex with. I think they have that. But I don't think that they have what Little Rod is explaining to or trying to explain to the court. I don't think that, anything that Little Rod said, like I said, because once again, it's one thing to make an accusation or allegation, but you need to prove it. Well, Diddy said, that's he say, she say, that's hearsay. You know what I mean? And if they didn't get anything like that consistent with Little Rod saying in that raid, they didn't get that, then hey, you know what? They don't have anything. And like I said, once again, they are now trying to keep Diddy in jail based on the Cassie tape, saying, hey, look at the Cassie tape. Don't forget this, which tells me that they don't really have a good case. Because if they went in Diddy's house and they got something, the baby oil is not illegal. They have accusations running that the baby oil was laced with HGH or something like that. That's not been proven. Once again, people are lodging allegations about stuff that they can't prove. And like I said, it sounds really good, for dinner table gossiping, barbershop gossiping, hair salon gossiping, all of those things, right? But is there any proof behind what is being said? And when you have to go to court and you have to demonstrate that, right? Then again, that is a different thing from somebody just saying some stuff, Once again, so we're going to see what happens with this. Like I said, Diddy fighting back. He fighting back from his prison cell. This is not in favor or against Little Rod. I'm just stating the facts as they were noted in the brief and what Diddy's lawyers are basically saying. Once again, basically, in short, Jones' second amended complaint is the third attempt to dress up a run-of-the-mill commercial disagreement as a salacious RICO conspiracy. A commercial disagreement, meaning the $50,000 that he originally wanted, now all of a sudden it's coming to this RICO case because they're going to be trying to use Little Rod to testify against Sean P. Diddy Combs. Why? Now they have the affidavit. Little Rod spoke to the feds in regards to the affidavit, and now that's why they launched this to try to get rid of that. Basically, they're saying Little Rod is one of the witnesses. They know now, based on receiving the affidavits on October 7th. Running nearly 100 pages, it includes countless tall tales, shameless celebrity name drops, and irrelevant images. Yet, despite all its hyperbole and hubris, lurid theatrics, the SAC fails to state a single viable claim against any of Combs' defendants. That's true. Replete with legally meaningless allegations and blatant falsehoods, the SAC's true purpose is to generate media hype and exploit it to extract a settlement. No surprise given that Jones' attorney was recently referred to this court's grievance committee for engaging in a pattern of improperly filing cases in federal court to garner media attention, embarrass defendants with salacious allegations, and pressure defendants to settle quickly. And like I said, that's basically what they're saying, that what Mr. Blackburn is doing on Little Rod's behalf, as well as doing that on other people's behalf, if you will. We don't know yet. We're going to see what the court decides, and based on this. But like I said, we do know for a fact that Little Rod is going to be one of the people testifying against Diddy in the RICO case. We know that now. And that's what they said basically in this briefing, that it was a commercial disagreement about $50,000. Now they're trying to turn it into some kind of salacious racketeering and corrupt organizations case. So like I said, once again, we're going to see what happens. Your boy Del Rey, straight game.